Good afternoon, sixth grade. Mr. McCaffrey with another Wildcat Wellness. As your counselor, I just want to emphasize again how important these lessons are. It's building your skills to be, to achieve your goals inside and outside of school. That's kind of the objective of these, is to get you really working on things other than just doing working assignments that can make you successful in life. So just to remind y'all, the past 2 weeks, we've worked on goals and setting goals and the difference between long-term goals and being specific and having a time frame, and then how to break down those goals and set steps up so you can be successful. So today we're going to kind of continue along with the goal setting, except this time it's going to be about monitoring your progress and knowing when you're on the right track to make sure you're achieving your goal. So before we get into that, I stole this idea from our seventh grade counselor, Miss Dr. Richardson, and it's about my background right now. I'll scoot out the way. And what we're doing is places that either we visited or want to visit, and we're seeing if students can identify them or teachers identify the location. So this place is actually someplace I visited a couple years ago when I was in school getting my master's. We did study abroad, and we went to this country in this city. And it was a great experience. We were there for 10 days, so we really got to be a part of the community and the culture, and we got to go into smaller pockets within the community and really get to experience the life, the day-to-day living, and offer our support and be part of the community. So I'm a big advocate, which means I speak out about traveling to other places and experiencing other cultures, because it's extremely important that we understand what else is out there and how, while we're all working towards the same goal, being, successful and being part of a community and helping each other, different areas of the world do it differently. So we get to experience that. And when you see it firsthand, it can really help you grow as a person. So this, hopefully someone can recognize it. I'm going to say most likely not, but this is Quito, Ecuador. I picked a sunset picture. I grabbed it from Google, so copyright Google. But it's an amazing city, massive city. Some of the views you'd see millions and millions of people. When you go on top of the mountains, you can just see all the different areas, and it's a really beautiful place, and I had a great time down there. So this is Quito, Ecuador. So I'm going to continue on with the lesson. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, so monitoring your progress. And now teachers, I know you know to pause and play when it comes time for the students to share. And again, if we are struggling with students sharing out, because I understand virtually it's just a little difficult, we love for you students to please share. The more you use your voice, all right, the more teachers get to know you, the more your classmates get to know you, and really the more you get to know yourself when you speak out. You have to use your words, and that's a big part of life and growing up. So we'd love for you to share. Teachers, I'm going to share in the email. This is the student handout. I know some teachers are filling this out with students, so they're having it up on the screen, and they have students help them fill in the blanks. So this is what we're going to be working on. And teachers, you can monitor that or handle that how you see fit in your classroom. But so right here, we're going to start the lesson. So in this lesson, we'll learn how to recognize when we're on our way to achieving a goal. Okay, now some of you, that might sound simple. For other of you, you might not know what we're talking about. But either way, we're going to get into it, because this is an important part of, like, previously setting goals, but now you got to monitor yourself on the way to achieving the goal. All right, so the warm up. Think about the last time you were successful at something. What was it? How did you know you were successful? What were the signs? How did you feel when you succeeded? All right, so there's some examples on the next slide, so I won't go too far into it. Teachers, if you want to pause here and let students write down their answers, or if you want to discuss it. Once you come back, I'll move on. All right. So hopefully everyone wrote down. what the last thing they thought they were successful at, and that can be a variety of things. I think, most of that's going to be outside of school stuff right now. All right. And then what were the signs? And then how did you feel? And it's important to express yourself, because a lot of times we don't recognize those emotions, those feelings, until we really say it out loud or write it on paper. It kind of brings it to life and makes it real. So what's a progress marker? All right, this is an important vocab term for our SEL, our second step Wildcat Wellness lesson today. A progress marker is a sign that you're getting closer to achieving your goal. So we're going to click on some of the examples. So examples, I've gone from shooting 2 out of 10 3-point shots to 5 out of 10. I can correctly identify 3 of the 5 areas of a cell that I need to know for tomorrow's test. I only had to walk for half a lap instead of a full lap when I ran a mile this week. I have lines from my Act 1 of the play memorized. I finished the outline of my book report. So you can see some of these are school related, some of these are sports related, but it can honestly apply to all areas. If one of your goals is to get all your chores done, all right, in order to get an allowance or just to help your family, then you can monitor yourself as you achieve those chores, and then you're on your way towards your goal. All right, so those are some of the examples. We're going to continue on to the activity. All right, so here's an example. All right, after I read it, teachers, you can pause, and then we'll click on markers and go through that after the students have an opportunity to write and to discuss. So Leona keeps falling asleep in class. She needs more rest. So she sets a goal to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night for the next month. What progress markers could show Leona that she's on her way to achieving her goal? So pause. Students, try and think about some of those. All right, now I'm going to show the markers. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to think of some of your own and maybe discuss with the class. And so we'll see which ones maybe you didn't think of, or if you were able to think of all of them. All right, obvious one. She's gone to bed by 10 p.m. 5 nights in a row. All right, she's gotten at least 8 hours of sleep 5 nights in a row. And she hasn't fallen asleep in class for a week. So if you set your goal or your marker as getting that 8 hours of sleep, and you're in bed and asleep at a certain time and you're getting your hours of sleep, you should see a difference in if you're falling asleep during the school day or not. Now, sometimes if you eat a heavy lunch, you might get a little heavy-eyed, get a little tired after you eat a big lunch, and that's pretty common. But as long as you're not completely falling asleep, not paying attention, all the way asleep in class, then it's a success, and it means you're working towards your goal. All right, and there's a lot of different examples there. I think students and teachers can come up with more during your discussions. So we'll continue. All right, setting a target. How will Leona know when her goal has been achieved? It's a great question. So let's ask that and discuss that amongst the class. So you can pause me. All right, I'll go over the possible targets. When she's consistently getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night for a month, she'll know because she'll track her sleep in her phone, planner, or notebook. All right, so this is kind of what your teachers do when they track your grades. And they track a lot more than your grades, trust me, students. Okay, so you got to keep track of things. And this is not just about sleep. This is schoolwork. This is, home activities, whether it is your chores, or maybe it's even you have to help your mom, dad, or you got to help your brother and sister in things. You can track how many times you've helped them. So keeping track of certain things can really be beneficial in the long term of achieving goals or, setting goals. Okay, we'll continue on. So adjusting the strategy. In 2 weeks, Leona only got enough sleep on 4 nights. She's still dozing off in class, and she's been tardy twice. Even though she goes to bed at 10 p.m., she doesn't fall asleep until at least 11 p.m. because she's texting or watching videos. How can Leona adjust her strategy? All right, now there's some obvious answers here. which is put the phone down or put it on the other side of the room. But let's see what other ones students can think of. So pause me. When you come back, I'll go through the strategies. All right, some adjusting strategies. She could go to bed at 10 p.m. and turn off her phone. She could ask her parents to take her phone when she goes to bed. She could ask her friends not to text her after 10 p.m. Now, those are all great ideas, but as we know, there's a lot of other ways to disable your phone at a certain time. Turning notifications off is a good one. Turning your ringer off, okay? Now, I like to turn all my text, email, notifications off, except I leave my ringer on, just in case there's an emergency and someone, that I care about, and they're in trouble, then they'll call me and my phone will still ring. But if they text me, email me, or message me on an app, then I won't get the message. I only get it if they call me. So you turn off all noises on your phone, turn off your notifications, and you can still keep your phone close by. All right, I think that's a good one. But if it's a real big issue, you're gonna have to turn the phone off, or you're gonna have to put it across the room, or you need to put it face down so you can't see it light up. I think students, I think you understand that cell phones, especially now that we're virtual, is another screen in front of our face. And the more we're on screen, the harder it can be to fall asleep. Not for everybody, but for a lot of students, the more, I think it's called blue light, the more blue light we get from a screen and our phone and our tablets and our Xbox and whatever else we watch, Nintendo Switch, whatever devices we're using, that blue light from the screen can keep you up at night. So we have to be conscious of that. You got to be aware. All right, students? All right. So hopefully you had a little discussion there. We will keep going. So your turn. Choose one big long-term goal from your lesson 4 handout. So from the lesson 4 was setting long-term goals. Now, there's a really good chance you come up with a new goal since then, and that is perfectly okay. You don't have to use one of those goals. We want you to. It can make it a little easier, and if you're still working towards that goal, please use it. But if you have to come up with a new one, or you have in the past 2 weeks, that's okay. So, all right, we want to identify at least 2 progress markers, which, let's remember, progress marker is a sign that you're getting closer to achieving your goal. All right, it's on the student handout, it's a vocab word. All right, so you're going to identify at least 2 progress markers for one long-term goal. And you're going to determine how you'll know when you achieve that goal. All right, so we'll take a minute to write some of those things down or to discuss them in class. All right, we're going to go to the wrap up. So this is a big one. This is when you got to be really honest with yourself, students, because depending on your goal, kind of depends on what roadblocks could potentially happen. And a lot of our, not all of them, but a lot of the roadblocks are going to be part of yourself, not all of them. So what roadblocks to your goal do you foresee, or do you see happening in the future? How would you adjust your strategy if you encounter a roadblock? So this would be a great discussion question, or you're going to be able to write a good amount of information here. This is when you got to really look at your goal, look at your progress markers, and look what roadblocks you might see ahead. And this allows you, students, this is foresight, all right? Now you're thinking about potential things that could come ahead and block you from achieving your goal, all right? And what that does is it puts it in your head, and you kind of, like they said, adjust your strategy. So now you're making a plan for something that could maybe happen. And if it doesn't happen, great. But if it does happen, you already have an idea of how you're going to adjust and still achieve your goal. So that's a big part of this lesson right here, is when you start thinking of potential roadblocks, okay, how can you adjust? And that's foresight. That's a big thing right now. And you'll hear Miss Seibert, your principal, say it all the time. Your frontal lobes are developing, and that's foresight. That's decision making. So this is a great practice to build that foresight and help you avoid potential problems. All right, so this is the end of the lesson, but y'all take the next I don't know, 5 minutes to write your answers down or discuss with your class. Um, Teachers, if you want to pause me here, when you come back, I'm going to just show you some of the additional discussion questions that are available if you get done with this lesson early. All right. Actually, teachers, it's in your email. I'm sorry for kind of leaving you there, but it's in your email. So after you're done with this lesson, if you go to your email, there's further discussion questions. Thank you, teachers, so much. We counselors, we wish we could be kind of in person to be doing these lessons with students. I think it's more engaging when we're in person. I know we're getting it done virtually. We're doing a good job. But we can't wait to be back in person. So for those students that are coming back in person, we look forward to seeing you. Teachers, thank you for a Tuesday afternoon lesson. Only a few more days till break. All right. Have a good Tuesday afternoon.